many of you know, have heard of principles of liberty? Most of you? Great. Rich? Hey, Rich, you're a star. Rich Bratten and his lovely wife, Lori, run an organization called Principles of Liberty. They have committed every year for the past 4 years to analyzing legislation that is going through our state house in Colorado. They don't analyze every single piece, but they look at the ones that have impact on liberty. Anything that's going to restrict our personal liberties, our business liberties, and so forth. They analyze it, they rate the legislation, they rate the votes by our legislators, and they make it available for us so that we can make informed decisions on how our votes are going. So if you will welcome Rich Bratten, he's going to give us a little bit of an overview on this year.
All right, I was going to ask that question, but I was going to chicken out because I didn't think anybody. So I'm going to ask the question because I was going to have a contest. How many people in here, if you're on Facebook or social media, know of or are friends with Lori Bratten, my wife?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. And then I was going to ask how many people are familiar with Principles of Liberty or Principles of Liberty legislative rating analysis, because I thought that she would win. But let me see those hands again. How many of you seriously, have you heard of POL, Principles of Liberty? All right, I'm very pleased. I'm shocked. Everything these guys have been talking about tonight, everybody has said stuff that is really in alignment with what we're doing. In 2008, I mean, all my life I've been Republican, I've been voting. I really study hard the candidates, right? And I vote for the right guy, and I help them. And then I go back to work, and I raise my kids, and I run my business. And then I come back 2 years later, and I say, what the heck happened here? What did you do? All right, I thought I picked a good one. And so I realized that there's more responsibility that we have than just that. And that is paying attention to what they do when they're in session. I'm an actuary, I'm a CFA investment guy, finance guy. When I had my political aneurysm, I call it, in 2008, all right, during the debates, that's when my head kind of exploded. And I downloaded the federal budget, and honestly, it took me about 3 hours to figure out, and we're in trouble. And so I turned my focus to the state. So that's all we do, is we focus at the state. How many of you are happy with what's gone on at the state legislature the last couple of years? No hands on that one. All right, good. Right, so what we do at Principles as a tool, because I'm also the executive director for the RSCC, the Republican Study Committee of Colorado. You might have heard of the RSC. It's a national organization. It's a caucus of conservative legislators at the federal level. The RSCC, we have about 25 members. I'm the executive director of that. That's a caucus of conservative legislators here at the state. All right, so it started as a project in there. I created POL. We rate legislation before it gets voted on. We email it to whoever wants it. Go to our website at principlesofliberty.org. Very simple, principlesofliberty.org. And you can get on our mailing list during session. You get once a week a report, same report that the legislators get who sign up for it. We have a lot of them. All right, so we rate it before they vote on it. And at the end of the session, we do an analysis. Now, the goal of Principles of Liberty is simply to focus the conversation on what's the role of government and how is it being applied in our Golden Dome in Denver. That's it. If you want to know what's going on, if you want to be effective at getting something done, you got to know what's going on down there. Because these guys tell you, oh, I'm conservative this, oh, I'm conservative that, or I'm whatever, I'm libertarian this. And you look at their voting record and you say, yeah, you are, or no, you're not. It's not what they say, it's what they do. We measure quantifiably what they do. As an actuary, I'm a numbers guy. We have over 43,000 data points from 2013, and we rate all the legislators on what they do based upon our clearly defined principles. It's very straightforward. Last year, Republicans, the results for 2013, and we haven't done 14 yet, scores range from 42%, I think was the low. It's really bad. They agreed with Principles of Liberty 42% of the time. All the way up to 95. Spectacular. All right? That is a broad range of scores for Republican legislators. So call it 50 points. Any guesses on what the range of scores for Democratic legislators last year was?
3.
All right. Some of you actually read our stuff, yeah. No, you didn't. Okay. The scores ranged between 8 and 12%. It's stunning. Folks, you don't have scores that are that identical unless there's a specific plan to make that happen. We've downloaded some of the data for this year. In the state Senate this year, what is split out Democratic votes, there were about 423 floor votes on average. Okay, so that's when the Senate votes on the floor in thirds, in finals. Okay, that's a final recorded vote. About 423 of them. Out of 423 times, on average, that the Democrats in the Senate, state Senate, made a vote, how many times of those 423 do you think they said yes? 417. The average Democratic senator voted no 6 times out of 423. All right? When I hear people say, hey, I'm going to primary these Republicans because I can reach across the aisle and work with the other. Folks, if they vote 99% of the time the same, what's that tell you? There is no aisle. The Republicans in the Senate voted I'm going to round it, out of 400 times, about 300 times yes, about 100 times no. Okay, and there is a broad range, which I won't get into right now. But there's a broad range there. So our goal of Principles of Liberty is to say, what's the role of government here? Our principles are property rights, free markets, individual liberty, personal responsibility, limited government, fiscal responsibility, state versus federal powers. This was talked about earlier. All right? Constitutionality, and then equal rule of law, protection under equal rule of law for all. All right? Those are our principles. By the way, every single one of those principles, I have color-coded copies of the Republican Party platform that highlight where those principles show up in their platform. I have the exact same thing. Yeah, hold them to it sometime. It'd be an interesting experiment, wouldn't it? That's what we got to start doing, right? We're giving you the tools to do it. Okay, we're giving you the data to do it. I got a massive group of volunteers that have really been helping, doing a lot of work. Libertarian Party platform. I didn't bring them with me. It's like about 8 pages. It's awesome. It's very thin, right? As opposed to the others. Every single principle's supported in there. The Democratic Party platform, got a color-coded copy for that one too. Most of the principles are supported by the Democratic Party platform. So if you're in a district with a Democratic rep, you can go in and say, look, the Democratic Party platform says that you support personal responsibility. Let's talk about that on this piece of bill, legislation right here, right? Privacy issues, right? You gotta be able to know why you have a position you have. So we put on training sessions at Principles of Liberty, and we talk about how did we develop our principles? How do you develop your own? Take ours, great. Tweak ours, great. Make up your own, great. This is an open source project. You know what I mean by that? You know, you programmers, it's open code. It's not mine. Take it. Do what you want with it in your group. Okay? But we want to focus the conversation on what's the role of government and how are we doing at the state. Okay? So that's our goal. And then we measure it at the end of the day based on the votes. Okay? So we'll be at the Western Conservative Summit this year. Very pleased to announce we'll be giving away awards on stage at the Western Conservative Summit this year for the top 3 state senators and the top 3 state representatives. Because we've read all of the Colorado legislation, all right? Unlike groups from Washington who want to come out here and tell Colorado what Colorado people should be doing. We think Colorado people know what we should be doing. Right? Not be dictated to. I don't care what the names of the groups are from the East Coast. So we're going to be doing that at the session. If you go to our website, principlesofliberty.org, You can check out what we're doing. We need volunteers. We do training. We need subject experts. You name it, water law, energy, anything. I mean, if they're running a puppy kicking bill down at the Capitol, I need experts on kennels and puppies, right? I mean, we need volunteers. We will train you. We'll send you out to start your own group. The more the merrier. I'm not into turf. I spent the first year of trying to get involved politically, trying to break down people's turf. Hey, how would I help? Boom. No. Hey, my wife and I decided to get involved politically. How can we help? What do you want? You know? I mean, we spent a year fighting that stuff. We want to give our stuff away. All right? So principlesofliberty.org. Let me see if there's any other highlights, because I'm going to be really fast and get through it and be done here. This year we rated 275 bills. I've pretty much already talked about the preliminaries of the data. We've had, on our training, we have mostly Republicans and Libertarians attend, but we've had Democrats attend as well. Because the goal is to talk about, where do your principles come from? Right? I start off with a great quote and I read it. Say, okay, who made this quote? It talks about the importance of life, liberty, and property, and your ability to use it, and your rights to use it. Everybody starts guessing, oh, it's Madison, Jefferson, whatever. No, you gotta go back to Cato, the younger, 2,000 years before the founding here. Because truth isn't a new thing that was discovered 200 years ago. Truth is truth. Principles are principles. So we're not an issues group. We apply principles to the issue. If it's a property right issue, it doesn't matter to us if it's weed control in the city and county of Denver, or if it's fracking, all right, in oil and gas at a state level. Property rights are property rights. The principle applies to both. It needs to be applied properly. So that's what we do with the Principles of Liberty. Encourage you to sign up for our website, sign up for our emails. You won't get spam. Probably won't get much anything.